Hello, this is the tutorial slash showcase video for my Furry creator. Basically, in this video you will have timestamps to the points that you might find interesting, but you can also watch it, probably should watch it from the beginning to the end. So first let's go over the necessary add-ons. There are a few, but they are really easy to install. So the first add-on that you should get is the Tiny Eye add-on from Tiny Noki. You can get it from Gumroad, the link will be in description, and you can give him how much money you want, and you can also watch his video, so you know all the functions of this add-on. So once you get Tiny Eye, you will get to this page, and from here you can choose the versions, but the one that you want is the add-on version, so you just download it. After you download the add-on, you will need to install it in Blender, so you go to Edit, Preferences and Add-ons, and here you will click the Install button and find the zip file that you downloaded on your drive. Once you do this, you just find it in here. It should automatically appear, and enable it. And that's it for Tiny Eye. You will need one more add-on, and that is Rigify, because my rig for the model is Rigify based. And you can find it here in add-ons. It's already in Blender, you just need to enable it. And then in here you will need one more thing, the feature sets, and that is Experimental Rigs by Alexander Gavrilov. And to get this, you need to get it from his GitHub. The GitHub page will be also in the description, and once you're here, you want to click Code and Download Zip. Now you need to install the zip. Click this button and find it on your drive, and then you will need to just enable it in here. And that's all for the add-ons that you will need. So now let's go over the textures. To see them, you will of course need to be in the material preview mode, and the way that I have made them is modular. So basically you have modules that do different patterns, basically, and they go one into another and into another and create a really customizable texture. So first you have the base color or base pattern, and I've created 3 of them for now, and you can switch between them, switching them into the factor input. So once you choose the pattern, you can change the colors here. So this is the first color and the second color, and then you just go over legs, arms, tail, and change the colors. You can change the gradients. Let's go to legs. Here you can change the color, and here you can change the gradient, how far you want like the color to go, how sharp do you want it to be. So you can basically change a lot. So another thing you should know with this modular approach is that you can skip steps. So if you don't want like this chest path, you can get rid of it by going from the last step before it. It's here. This is the chest hair. You can change the color here. So you go to the last step before it and drag this output into the step that it would go into. So basically this here. And now it disappears because we just don't use it. You could even delete it because you just don't need it. But you can leave it. You can leave it here. It doesn't matter. Okay. Another thing that you can do with the textures is add new textures, add new modules. So to do that, you just need to create an image texture. Click new. Name it whatever you want. And this is the 2K version. So you have to make it 2K. If you are using the 4K version, you just use 4K. And don't forget to click tiled, and don't forget to change the color to white, just straight up white. Once you created the new texture, don't be sure that you have it clicked, and then go to the texture paint tab, and here you can see that the head is pink. That's because we are using UDIM, and the head is missing textures. So you go here into image tab and add a new UDIM tile. Don't forget to change the color. It will be black, so you need to change it to white, and leave everything else as it is. So now when you reload it, you can see that it's all white. Now you can basically paint anything you want. Let's make something here, make a pattern like this. Blender can handle the 2K textures pretty well. It doesn't lag that much, but if you are using 4K, you may struggle, and so you may want to use a different software, but you probably know how to import that if you do that. So yeah, let's just leave it at that. You need to remember to save the image. You go to image, save as you would with anything else, and then you can save it in the textures folder that I've provided. So now, after you've painted the texture that you want, you go back to layout, and this is the mask that you will use for colors. So of course use only black and white. Now you need to make a module. You just grab this here and copy, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, copy it here. The color goes into the factor, and the last output before it goes into the B slot, and the result goes into the B slot of the next module. And like this you added a detail, and you can change the color as you would with everything else. And the next thing you see here is the noise and bump. So basically, after all the textures are done, you have this multiply node here that adds some variation with the noise. So basically without noise it would look like this, and with noise it looks like this. You can also change it here. If you don't like it, you can remove it, you can do whatever you want. But the noise is pretty useful if you use the Furry that I will show you later, because then you will have different textures and it won't blend together like it would without it. So coming from the noise texture, you have also the bump texture or the bump normal. If you don't want to use the fur, then you might want to use the bump. It basically just adds some more three-dimensional texture, like to the body. So if you like it, you can use it. If not, you can just leave it. Doesn't really matter. So the last thing you want to do with the textures, after you've changed all the colors, changed all the textures that you want, is to bake them. So basically take all those layers, all those modules, and flatten them into one image. So to bake the texture, you first need to create the image texture. You can also use the bake I've provided, but I will teach you how to create a new one. So create new, set it to 2K, name it bake or whatever, and the color doesn't matter, and you need to have clicked the tiled. So basically you do it exactly the same as with the image texture before, and you also need to have it clicked. Go to the texture paint and add another UDIM tile. And now this image is ready for baking. So with the image created, you need to have it clicked here, selected, and you also need to have the object selected here. And then go into the render tab. You need to be in cycles if it doesn't work. And GPU compute probably, because it's faster. And then you go down to bake tab. The settings should be set already, but just to make sure, you have the bake type to diffuse. Contributions only color, and other things should be fine. So baking in Blender is quite resource intensive, so it might take some time, so be patient. So with this, if you want, you can copy it to a new texture, so it will be clean and won't have the generator in it. So basically do something like this, but it's not necessary. Blender probably skips unused nodes, so it's the same. One thing you need to remember to do is to save the baked map. So basically you can do it here. Just click on the bake and click save, and it will replace the texture before. So now with textures done, you can go into shape keys of the mesh. So basically you just go into make sure you have the base mesh clicked, and you go to data, and here you scroll down to shape keys, and here you have all the shape keys created. So with the shape keys you can change how the mesh looks. Basically you just click on whichever shape key you want, and you have the value slider, which will go from 0 to 1, and you can use whichever you want in whichever combination. You can mix them however you want, and get different results. If you can't change something that you want with the shape keys I've provided, you can always add a new one, and in edit mode make whatever you want, and then you have a new shape key. You can also use it in sculpt mode. Just make sure that you have the value on 1. And here you can also edit it with the other shape keys in whichever combination you have them. So this is better. Just make sure that you don't change any topology, like deleting some vertices or adding new ones. Although if you add a new one and like make it use like only insets and something like that, it will still work, but I hope you know what you are doing. After you changed all the shape keys that you want, you may want to apply them, because, well, you can't really use modifiers, you can't use many modifiers with the shape keys. So in some cases you might want to apply them. So to do that, you make a new shape from mix. Let's name it like mix, and it basically connects all the shape keys that you've used and makes one shape key that does everything at once. And now you need to delete all the shape keys that you don't need. Well, basically all shape keys with the mix left last. And now when you delete bases, you have the mix as the basis. And so now the mesh just looks like this, and now you delete the last shape key, and now you have every shape key applied. So now we are all done with shape keys and textures, and now you can go into the rig. So I've made the rig with Rigify. So basically you have 2 rigs. One is the actual rig that your mesh is connected to, and the other one is the meta rig that generates a more complex rig like this. So the mesh is already weight painted, but the weight paints are pretty much all automatic weight paints. If you use shape keys that change the body dramatically, basically change the shoulder width, or the legs will be pretty fine. If you change the tail length or the ear length, then you might need to change the armature. So to do that, you disable the rig armature and enable the normal armature. So this is the meta rig. With this selected, you want to go into edit mode, and with X mirror enabled, you can go into like a front view, change the bones so they match your body better. So you do something like this. You might need to do some iterations of this, but I'm sure you'll be fine. So with this changed, you now need to regenerate the rig. So to regenerate the rig, you just go either in edit mode or in object mode. You go into Rigify and click regenerate the rig. It will take some time probably. So after you've clicked regenerate, you will get a new rig So you can disable the meta rig, and now you can go into the pose mode, and here all the weight painting is same as before. And so if you have a case like this where this looks bad, you can do some auto reweigh painting again. So to reweigh the shoulder, you first want to go here into the data of the skeleton, and then click this layer, because it's the deformation layer. And with the deformation layer visible, you want to go back to object mode and select the armature and then the mesh, and then go into weight paint mode, and then you select the bones that will need reweighing. So that's probably these bones, and then you just click weights and assign automatic from bones. So now the shoulder is reweighed, and if you go into back into the edit mode or the pose mode, let's show the arm. The deformation looks better, but it's not perfect because I've placed the rig wrong. So now with the weight painting fixed, I can show you some of the features of the rig. First of all, in the item tab, here you have the rig layers, that you basically have an IK, FK, and tweak layer. Okay, so the eyes and teeth are still not connected to the armature, so we have to get around that. Go into edit mode and select this layer, the original layer. The teeth and the eyes are not on the deformation layer because auto rigging shouldn't affect them. So go to the original layer. Those are the bones copied from the meta rig, and select the eye bone. Go to the bone section and click deform, and do the same. Check the deform box for the second eye and both the teeth bones. Okay, now you need to take the eye and actually take the eye, the second eye, teeth and teeth top, and then select the mesh and click Ctrl P and select with empty groups. And now go into the eye, select actually edit mode, select all, and now here look for the eye and click the original eye, and click assign the left. You are on the left eye, so click assign with 1 selected on the weight, and now the eye will follow the rig, and do the same with the second eye, and now click the eye R. Now the I follows that, and do the same with the teeth. Bottom, teeth, B, assign, and teeth, T. And now when you go to the pose mode, the eyes follow the target and the teeth follow the mouth. You can move the teeth if some clipping happens, and everything is connected to the rig. Okay, that's all for the rig. And now let's go to the fur. So click on the mesh and go into the particles. Here you have the body fur and the face fur. You can enable or disable them here, clicking the either if you don't want to use them in the render, you can disable the render, or if you don't want to see them, or they are turned off right now, so if you want to see them, you can click this, and then the fur will appear. So the fur is the face fur is separate from the body fur. So if you want, you can use no face fur or just face fur, but this looks weird. And here the fur is already groomed, and you can change it if you want, but I think there is no need to. Maybe in some special cases you would need to lengthen it, but I think it will be fine. And here in the settings on the right side, if you don't like how thick or thin it is, you can change it. You can change it like here in the hair shape. You can either make it smaller, yeah, and then you should probably also increase the children amount, like 200. This will be more resource intensive. I've tried to keep it like in the middle, but use whatever settings you want. I'm not great with the fur, so you probably can find something that works better. So another thing with the fur are the maps, or the vertex groups, the density and length group, and you find them here in the data. So you just go to vertex groups and type in fur, and you will have fur density weight. And wait, first disable them here, because it will lag if you change them. But here go to weight paint, and here is the density, and basically you can change with the draw where you want the fur denser and where you want it less dense, but you can just leave it like this. And the same with the fur length, like on the hands and the head, the length is lower, so, and the same is with the fur density here. And that's pretty much all. You can get the model on Gumroad or Blender Market. I hope you enjoy.